tender loving care.
Do you think you can ever get enough of it?
I don't, maybe. That's what we're going to be talking about in Get Real with
the English Sisters
this week. Join us.
Join us. And if you enjoy this podcast, please share with your family and friends and click follow.
Follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because you'll be able to see us in person there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tender loving care. I think it's more important than ever now after the pandemic.
I agree with you. I mean, I can't really say there's anything negative. I can actually think if you, unless you're giving yourself or someone that you love a little bit too much of it, then it could be like almost like coddling. You're not allowing them to fully experience events that happen in life. Because you're protecting them too much with too much tender loving.
Is too bad.
No, I don't know if you can give somebody too much love, but the way you can, perhaps you can. You give them too much affection.
I think maybe it's not too much love, but when too much love turns into a form of anxiety, so that the person that's giving it is really anxious.
Yeah.
And overprotective, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Exactly.
Like I was listening to
exactly
Anne
it.
Summers on with Steve Bartlett. She was on the Diary of a CEO, and she was saying, it's quite an old interview now. It just happened to come up on my feed. She was saying that, for instance, her mum was like overprotective, and she wouldn't let her in some areas. In other areas, she was lacking completely. But she did say she had mental illness.
Okay.
She wouldn't let her like play in the front garden.
Oh right, because she was scared.
Yeah, she wouldn't let her
might fall down or something.
So she would. You could interpret it as being really loving mother that was worried about her child not playing in the front garden. She didn't want her to get abducted or kidnapped or hurt.
Oh goodness me, yeah, okay.
But it could also be
being
a form
an
of her
anxiety,
mum being over anxious about certain things.
Okay, so I think it is important then for us to understand the difference between tender loving care and obsessive love, obsessive behaviour, which is obviously not tender loving care, because I mean TLC
the words are
there. Tender, yes, it's not anxious loving care, it's not overprotect, it's tender, so it's something delicate, it's something that's forever present, but in a tender, calm and kind way, which is I think the love that would be lovely if we could give ourselves that, a little dose of it every day. Really do it to ourselves, I think, then we would be a much happier.
Well, I think when it's not tender love, when you give yourself the opposite of tender loving care, that's when all the problems and anxiety can really get worse for you.
It may be easier said than done, though, because it is actually quite hard to give yourself tender loving care and actually look at you.
We all tend to be so hard on ourselves, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
It's like the hardest of hardest.
Even us that we know about it, and we're therapists and we're in the field of mental health. Sometimes I do catch myself not being that kind to myself, but then thank goodness I can quickly. I know about it, so I'm aware.
You give yourself a hug afterwards.
Yeah, and I say, hey, don't be mean. I might look in the mirror and think, oh, you look horrible today or something. And then I say, no, don't be mean. How could you say that to yourself? That's not nice. I have this whole little dialogue. And then I'll reframe it and think, no, I don't. That's not kind. That's not a nice thing. I wouldn't say that to someone else.
No, you'd never say it, would you?
No.
You'd say the opposite.
You'd say the opposite. Hey, you're tired, or, show something that you've just got up, give yourself a break sort of thing.
But I mean, I think sometimes people focus, maybe when you don't give yourself tender loving cares, because maybe you're focusing too much on yourself and your own appearance, when really you should be focusing more. You need to, not should be, but you need to focus more on other people and helping other people feel good and do things for other people.
No, I know.
And like not concentrate on so much. I mean, who cares who you look like?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the truth is.
Yeah, on another podcast episode I was listening to, there's another psychologist, a psychiatrist, a doctor who was talking about how he helped one of his patients because, and that's very Ericksonian. That's very much like we help our
Yeah,
patients,
yeah.
our clients, and that. And he was saying that there was a lady that was self-harming and being really cruel to herself because of her appearance. And so he said, well, what do you really love doing? Who do you love? And she was saying, I love animals. And he said, well, maybe if you take care of the bird table and
Yeah.
the cat, because she was actually in the hospital, you take care of them for me. Let's see how, how
Uh-huh.
that goes. And she immediately, that helped her bring herself out of herself and realizing that she was a nurturer and she wanted to help animals.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Do you think there is too much attention on oneself
Yeah, I
nowadays?
think that's maybe
Yeah.
when tender loving, when you can, it's kind of the old, when they used to say, which is very harmful as well, because I don't think that's a good mentality. I would
No.
stop feeling sorry for yourself. They used to say that all the time. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get on with it.
Yeah,
And that's awful because we know that's not something that we should be saying to ourselves, because we
no.
should be acknowledging if you're feeling sorry for yourself, there's usually a good reason for it.
Usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you tend to do that even over very small things, that you could give yourself some tender loving care and say, look, okay, I can understand this has happened to you. This has happened to me, but I can also understand that I can move ahead and I can overcome this challenge. Or do you know what I mean? So there is a fight. Yeah, obviously I'm not saying that get over it is not a nice way of
No.
it's not a helpful way, let's say, without using the nice way. It's not a helpful way to just say someone get over it. But I do think that a little bit of yes, with the tender loving care, and you accept that you're going through something difficult at the moment, whatever it is. And then also you do need some discipline then to take action, because it's that action that's going to help you.
Yeah.
Because our life, it revolves around action. We can't do anything without it. If you want to
No,
get a
and
glass of water, you need to reach out for the glass of water. So you're going to have to kind of like, yes, give yourself a cuddle and accept that you're going through something difficult now, but then overcome it. Understand that you're going to have to take that action. That's when I meant that maybe
yeah, and
too much loving
even
care.
the
You don't
action.
want to roll in self-pity, because it's not going to help you.
No, even if the action is like asking for help, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Asking for help, phoning someone. Can you come round? Can I
Yeah.
go? Can you, what if you want to get therapy, you take making that first phone call and booking the appointment, or but yes, it's great to give yourself tender loving care, as long as it's not, it's not self-pity, because that can be that's a pitfall. That's when you're really not going to help yourself get out of it.
Yeah.
That's was my only concern when I was thinking, is that do we actually give ourselves too much tender loving care? No, we don't. Normally humans,
It's the opposite.
it's the opposite. We bully ourselves. We're rather mean to ourselves. And so if you did think of tender loving care, like I know they do it in the crops in agriculture, it's actually called tender loving care. When you follow the crop, you look after the crop and everything. I don't know. I mean, I was reading about it in agriculture. It's actually called that, where you snip the buds and help the growth. Then that is very useful. But imagine if you saw your plant looking a bit down and you just said, oh no, poor you, oh dear. Oh, poor plant, poor plant. What help is it to the plant? The plant needs things. It needs water. It needs more care. It needs you to prune it. There is absolutely no point in that. And I think it's the same as in us humans, that if we roll in our own self-pity, we won't ever get out of it.
Yeah.
There's no action. It's not going to be helpful to us. So there's that difference to realize.
So it was when tender loving care can turn into something more sinister.
Yes. Well, when it turns into self-pity, then self-pity is a sad place to be in, because
Yeah.
it's very difficult to get out of it. And you may have someone in your family or know of a friend that tends to do that just goes into self-pity,
It
and
might
it's
be
like,
you listening.
or you, yeah, it's, you have to realize, yeah, it's okay to say, oh, poor me, I've got this and this has happened. But then you've really got to think about that plant and say, yeah, poor me, this has happened. But if I just keep on
But if I
saying,
was a plant, what would I need?
yeah, what would I need? If I was your pet, what would you need? You would need to take action. You would need to go to the vet. You would need to give it water, food. You got to think of yourself a bit like that. You need that tender, loving care associated with an action, whatever, however small it is. It needs to.
Definitely. I definitely agree.
Yeah, it needs to come with that action, because everything, we are based on action as well, not just on.
And I think we can also help ourselves if we stop being so hard on ourselves and start thinking that there's so much pressure on us to look perfect, to look good, to be
And
the
not
perfect
just
way,
to look, to have
to
the
be,
perfect,
to be confident,
to have everything, to get the good wages,
the
to
good
get the
lifestyle.
paycheck, to get the car, to get. Goodness me,
But they
yes.
say you have to enjoy the journey. But how do you do that if you
You can't enjoy the journey. Yeah, it's easier said than
because
done.
you see so many people that are like they're top executives and that, and they say, no, I love working, I love it, it's amazing, it's my passion. And even even if they were like, they would say, there's no way I would want to stop working,
I would want to give up. Yeah.
So what's the secret on finding that little special thing that makes you want to enjoy the journey? What do you think the secret is?
I think the secret is actually about enjoying the process, however odd that may seem. Even the difficulties, the time you couldn't get there on time, or like being able to see that through a lens of you experiencing it. It's like, it's odd, but it's like, if I think about our journey as the English sisters, some of the funnest parts were when we first decided to develop the brand. And I mean, yeah, because we're sisters, we're real sisters, but who said we had to become the English sisters? I mean, we've invented this whole thing ourselves. We want to work together. We want to create a brand. Let's study together. Let's do this. That was exciting when you first said, I want to study hypnosis. And I thought you were crazy. What is hypnosis? What is it, magic? No way. It's scary.
It's like woo-woo.
Like, woo. I thought, what road is she going down?
It was almost, in those days, it was almost cult-like, wasn't it?
It was weird. I mean,
Well,
it's still weird
I was
for many
worried
people.
about it myself. When I first went to the neurolinguistic, I thought, what is this? Some kind of cult?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to go there on my own?
Yeah,
I mean,
was
now
worried about
it's
you.
like we would laugh because they're the most cuddly family ever, and
Yeah,
the most good friends they become. But then I thought, is it even safe for me as a woman?
Will
to
they
go
hypnotize me in some odd way?
They do some weird thing to me. Oh my God.
Gosh, yeah. So, I mean, when I think about that, it's really funny. And all the little journeys we did together.
Funny at the time, I was thinking scary.
I know, but I think maybe that's the secret, is to be able to, when you're actually doing something, to think about how you will see that in the future. And that's a good that's a good little hack, I think, because when you're experiencing something, you'll say, oh, like they used to say, this will be a funny story to tell my grandchildren, or my children. You could maybe think about it like that. God, this will be a story to tell, and I'll laugh about it in.
Laughter is always a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it shakes your neurons up in your brain.
But I mean, how difficult was that journey for us? It was really difficult. We were two women. At the time, there was basically no women that were hypnotists.
Well, there were a few, but not many.
Not many, and not two, and not real sisters either.
No, not real
Let's
sisters.
face it, we were odd as a team. Very, very odd. So we had to, that whole experience, though, if you think about it, I enjoyed every minute of it, though. It was fun, creating, building, having that buzz of saying, yes, I'm going to do that. And it was also really challenging.
So when you say I enjoyed every minute, the truth is
you don't
every
enjoy
minute
every
wasn't
minute.
enjoyable.
No, you're right, yeah.
But when you look back on it, or when you're actually there, even you see the challenges as kind of enjoyable, because you're challenging yourself and you're growing.
Maybe that was enjoyable, getting out of the comfort zone, doing something so different.
Getting rid of your limiting beliefs, all the limiting beliefs that we had around, learning about limiting beliefs. What are they? They're things that stop you from doing other things that you want to do.
Well, there are limits that because you believe in something that was installed in you, maybe even at a very young age, you have that belief for the rest of your life. And we realized we had loads of beliefs like that. We weren't good at, I don't know, so many things. It's ridiculous, really. And then your barriers are they just fall down one by one, and the belief systems become more open, and you realize that you can do things you thought you couldn't do.
You can do anything.
You can do anything.
That you want
not
to do.
anything, but you can't fly yet.
You
But
can if you go on a plane.
on a plane, yes. But I mean, there are certain things you can't do, but you can do a hell of a lot if you realize you can. If you understand that, if you want to do it as well, and you have the motivation.
So do you think that tender loving care comes into that? Like building something, or even just going through life?
Definitely, when you build something, you need a lot of tender loving care, because if we didn't love that idea, we would have never done anything with it. The tender loving care we gave ourselves when we wrote our first book, we had to be kind to ourselves and think, hey,
They're non-critical.
Non-critical, yeah. We had to realize that we're going to have to let the critic out of the room, as to say. We said that so many times. And just be kind to ourselves.
Let the critic go and have a cup of tea.
Yeah, that's it. and being kind to ourselves. So yeah, I think this was our particular case, but I think in any business you have to be kind to yourself as well, and realize all the mistakes you could have, things you could have avoided, things you could have done. But then you're growing like a company.
Yeah.
You're building something, and I think when you build something, it's exciting.
And we have a lot of like 25 to 35-year-olds watching us and listening to us, and they're like sort of building their life, aren't they?
Yeah.
And what advice can we give them, do you think?
Well, I think give yourself a lot of tender loving care and be kind to yourself, and then definitely be kind to yourself, because you're the one that's got to do it. You've got to be so kind to yourself and gentle and understand the moments you're going through, and then take action.
Yeah, and then maybe like what the thing now is to say it's okay not to be okay as well. If you're not okay, ask for help.
Yeah, that's where the action comes in. So you look at yourself.
It's okay not to be. It's okay to tell my boss or whoever I'm working with, or my mom or my dad or whoever it is, your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, I'm not okay at the minute. I need to take a breath.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And then maybe regroup as well, because then when you do take a breath, then you can regroup. You might need to reinvent yourself. You might need to do something different. You might feel as if you're stuck, as if your life, like that lady, that her life wasn't, she was just looking at herself too much. She was concentrating on her own, what she considered her own weaknesses, because really she
didn't have enough going on.
Yeah, she hadn't thought of how she could use the amazing ability she had to care for animals.
Yeah.
To use that in a positive way, because she just never thought of it.
No, because she was just spent so much time like caring for herself.
Well, not caring for herself, not
only
putting herself down and destroying herself.
Destroying herself.
Well,
so yeah,
it's because she was self-harming in that. And you can be destroying yourself in other ways, by not eating properly, or self-harming, or abusing alcohol too much, or drugs.
Yeah, obviously you're just not loving yourself. No. It's quite the opposite indeed. And yes.
And the magical thing about tender loving care is when you do take a moment and think, yes, this is what I need to give myself, then you'll notice that others will be so willing to give it to you as well.
Yeah, you're right, because you tend to, it's like self-respect.
Yeah.
You have that, you say, hey, I'm putting up boundaries here because I'm giving myself tender loving care. So yes, you won't accept other things either that can happen in your life. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
The plant needs it.
The plant needs it, the crops need it, we need it. We are nature. We're not just, it's not just like we like being in nature, we are nature. So if we are nature,
then we need
tender
it's
loving
weird
care.
to say that we're nature, but we
We are nature. We're biological. We're decomposable. What's it say? We'd go in the organic.
We're organic.
We're organic. We're part of the world system. So yes, you need to be kind to yourself. You need to look after yourself as if you were some really, really special plant, some special tree that's growing that needs that tender loving care in order to be able to thrive and
survive as well.
survive. Yeah.
Yeah, and going back to the pandemic, after what we've all been through, which is something that, I mean, there has been pandemics before, but never like a pandemic now with all the technology and everything we've got, maybe in the medieval times or in other countries where there was no travel. But now to see the whole world stopping, it has stopped many people as well from moving on.
Yes.
And I think all of us have suffered a trauma, whether we're therapists or not, whether we've lost anyone or not, whether we've been affected by it or not. And we need to give ourselves that extra tender loving care for us to thrive and survive in the days to come.
I was telling you about that yesterday.
Yeah.
What was that word that I used?
Trauma.
Not trauma. I said I felt as if it was something like
Lost.
yeah, something odd. Like, I couldn't quite find the word, and then I found it. I was telling you about it yesterday.
Yeah, I can't remember it now.
Yeah, it was an odd little word that because it described exactly. It's this odd thing that's happened to us. It was sad, but it wasn't just sad. It's like a melancholy, like some kind of nostalgia for
times gone by.
For times gone by, yeah. And I remember when I was actually living the pandemic, when I would watch television and I would see people, humans all together, like in crowd, I would feel like envious. I would think, look, that's how we used to live. You know, there were no masks. And anyway, yeah, thank goodness. Getting back to normal. Yeah.
Yes, back to normal. But we have to be careful.
But we have to realise that we do need more tender loving care.
It's not just it's a new normal, but we're getting back to it. But we've
just overcome it.
We're overcoming it slowly, and it will be.
We need to, like soothe and acknowledge it and nourish ourselves even more now, I think.
I think especially now in these winter months as well, when most of us... Some of you may be listening on the other, because we know people listen all over the world if you're in the summer months. But for us here in the winter months where it's cold and it's dark and we tend to want to cocoon and cuddle ourselves.
Cuddle is different to coddle.
Cuddle. We should give ourselves extra hugs and cuddles, I think.
I think definitely. And be kind.
And be kind and loving to ourselves and the people around us. And
realise that we have gone through a very particular time.
Yeah, and just because everyone says it's all over, it's not all over.
In our minds, we can have this kind of
we can have this residue.
This nostalgic kind of really, we've been traumatised by it. Let's face it, all of us, whether we realise it or not. And I do know that we have had people like what you were saying in that age group of 20, even 20 to 30, 35 that have suffered even more than we have because I think it was a moment of, it's like, we go back to the plant metaphor, it's like your plant was just about to, the bud is just about to open, and then the frost falls over it and it forces it to go back down inside. And so now we need to understand that it needs more tender loving care, more gentle sunshine, more love and warmth in order for it to be able to, try and blossom again, and realize that it's okay to blossom, that the deep freeze will not get it and kill it. Basically, because it can survive.
I don't know why I'm laughing there, but laughter is good.
Yeah, you're laughing because it's horrific. That's why you're laughing, because you know exactly what I'm talking about, as we've had clients of this age group. And this, even though it's in a metaphor, I'm explaining exactly what happened. Because you may just be starting a job, just finished uni, just about to start your life. and then this happens, and now you allow yourself this tender love and care. Allow yourself time to understand this has happened.
Yeah, and time to take time out maybe as well, a bit longer than maybe you would have liked to.
Yeah, a bit longer, and accept that you're
Take
gonna
action too.
take action. You will overcome this.
With help,
Exactly,
maybe.
with help. Yeah, if you need it, help. We're here to help. You can write in the comments section. You can get in touch with us. We'd love to be of help. Really, really, honestly, and help you blossom again. Help. Let's see so many beautiful flowers out there.
Yeah, sunshine,
Sunshine,
and
smiles, and love from us, definitely coming your way right now.
So join us and listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. And please do, take time to write in the comments how
Yeah.
you've been feeling. If you're giving yourself tender loving care, if you feel you need more tender loving care because of what we've been through, or if you feel maybe it's the opposite for you. You might feel as if it's a great time of freedom because we can go out now.
Yes. Yeah.
So everyone experiences everything in different ways.
Different ways, yeah, absolutely.
Lots of love and smiles from the English sisters. Bye bye.